Hi out there, this is Cynthia Howard, and welcome to today's show. Today is Saturday, June 15th, 2019, and this is Freedom Cast. And today we're going to talk about something a little controversial and what some have even called a conspiracy theory, but I call it the truth. Have you ever heard the saying, you can't change the weather? Well, maybe that's not true after all, because some individuals, or shall we say some agencies of the federal government, can actually change the weather through weather modification projects. It's all documented in congressional record reports, as well as several bills that have been enacted by Congress throughout the years, which talks about weather modification. Now, just because it isn't called a certain term, or you can't see the term known as chemical trails or chemtrails for slang, doesn't mean it doesn't exist. A lot of the specifics are classified because they don't want you to know about it. Just look at the NSA spying or the spying by the deep state on the Trump campaign or other individuals. They're always in denial. But we now know it does exist, just like night and day, just like the sun and the moon and the stars. The same can be said of chemtrails. Now, these thick, billowy formations made by jets or airplanes across the sky leave a mark. What they know, we know as a trail, a checkerboard sometimes, an X, or a check mark. And I have certainly seen them over New Hampshire skies. And I have the pictures to prove them. They're on my website, ccltgroup.web.com. So you may want to check that out and see if you have seen anything familiar as well. They are sure strange looking. And I don't mean the vapor trails that come from the airplane when they're flying across the sky, like the exhaust, because they dissipate. But these actually stay in the sky. They form clouds. And just like clockwork, it will either get foggy, cloudy, and maybe you'll see some rain or some precipitation either later that day, that evening, or maybe not even for a couple of days, but nevertheless, you do see a change in the weather from those chemical trail formations from the airplanes. And they have been around for years. Since after World War II, they have been working on the sky. The term, it's a generic term, weather modification, but it's used for a whole host of projects to change the weather. They are a part of a government program for weather modification, which is to change your weather patterns to achieve a certain result. And this, ladies and gentlemen, is the real climate change. Not what they're trying to make out it is that you're causing it, but what they're doing in the sky is causing climate change. Change in the weather, change in the weather patterns. It's an artificially manufactured, chemically induced program to make you believe otherwise. Now, these weather modification acts have existed since 1950 in Congress. There have been approximately 9 weather modification acts that I have known of, that I have researched on. The last one being enacted was in 2017, which is only a couple of years ago, and I'm sure they're going to continue as long as they have the authority to do so, as long as we don't put a stop to it. The purpose of these acts is, as they say, for research and development, and it's specifically to deter weather systems. They're supposed to stop hurricanes, flooding, tornadoes, and the like. And of course, reduce greenhouse gases and block the sun's rays, known as global warming, and as a weapon of warfare. In other words, to change the weather patterns that the enemy's going to attack, or make sure that they have a good day so that we can attack them. So it's actually, weather can be used as a weapon of warfare. And we are spending billions for these projects. I can think of better ways to spend money, can't you? Now, to carry out the research, the following government agencies are used in the process. They work alongside of scientists and various private companies and contractors. These agencies you're well aware of, the CIA, the Department of Defense, and they are another subsidiary of the Department of Defense is the Defense Advanced Research Program known as DARPA, D-A-R-P-A. NOAA, National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, and the National Academy of Sciences, the National Weather Service, and there's probably some more as well. And they are using highly toxic chemicals like sulfur dioxide, aluminum dioxide, barium, and lead. And these particles are microscopic, and they're not visible, of course, to the naked eye. Now in California, there's over 40 different chemicals that they are using in the chemtrail project, and it's being documented all over the internet, and they're really fighting hard to stop it. And so you wonder, when you go to California or visit, see pictures, how much smog there is in the major cities like LA. Where is that coming from? You know, this could be a place to look, exactly right up in the sky. Now, these chemicals cause a variety of illnesses according to the congressional record, not my opinion, but this is right in the congressional record. Numerous poisonings, pollution, well, that makes sense. Respiratory ailments, everybody's got some kind of problem, such as COPD or pneumonias, muscular problems, emphysema, cancer, mental illness, depression, dementia, Alzheimer's disease, and even the pneumonia, some type of a chemtrail flu, they call it. So the thing is, you don't have to be a smoker to contract a chronic illness. You just have to go out and breathe the air or be out in the air when this is transpiring. And you may not think nothing of it, but it is very serious. These chemicals are harmful to the trees, to the plants, and the water supply. Did you ever notice the fungus and the deterioration of a lot of the plant life, especially the trees, how they're rotting away? Think of it this way, all living things, including humans, are dying a slow death. Death by poisoning from the skies. But all this program is a lot about money, power, and control. Who would have known that? Who would have believed that? But that's what it's all about. And you've heard presidential candidate Ron Paul talk numerous times about this when he was running for president, and also the military-industrial complex, which is the Department of Defense, and that's what they work on, weather modification. We've also heard a farewell speech by President Eisenhower when he talked about the military-industrial complex and how strong it would be in the future, and technology would blend with it. So he was well aware of it, being our general, a great general. And President Kennedy talked about secret societies. But also President Trump has talked about it this year with Steve Hilton on Fox about how powerful the military-industrial complex. So he knows all about it as well, and very familiar when they try to overpower a president, or when they try to use all kinds of weapons to wipe things out. And some of these are not necessary, and some of these are more hazardous and could cause more problems than what happened. So these weather modification projects can be counterproductive. Instead of alleviating a lack of rain, they can even cause drought, or the opposite end of the scale, even flooding. They have been known to change even the winter weather from snow, which we all get in the Northeast, to rain. It happened in Pennsylvania maybe 35, 40 years ago. They just got rain one complete winter. So that was odd and unusual, but that had to do with all the infusion into the atmosphere by the spraying program. If this isn't global warming, think of it, then I don't know what it is, what it's called, or what it is. So their remedy, these deep state officials, government officials, whatever you want to call them, for climate change is actually causing it. So it's nothing you do, nothing I do. It's what they're doing with their all weather modification programs and their spraying programs and their chemicals that are causing these atmospheric changes so that you see cooler summers. Everything seems to be cooling down. It's the opposite of what they said because they've done too much of this program. Now you can go to my YouTube site and see the speech by President Eisenhower. You can also see the speech by President Kennedy, the clip of it on secret societies, as well as the clip with Steve Hilton on Fox with President Trump about his reference to the military-industrial complex. Now, specifically in the 1978 Congressional Committee Report on Commerce, Science, and Transportation, they do a lot of these in these particular committees. It is noted that weather modification is the equivalent of a meteorological Watergate. It was back in the 70s, fresh on everyone's mind. But Congress admitted essentially a scandal and corruption in the weather systems. But unlike Watergate, no one was prosecuted or held accountable. And unlike Watergate, it is much more nefarious because it affects the ecosystems and the health of each and every one of us. And the costs are so much greater. It's not a political party, not a campaign, but the planet we're talking about. In 2014, the Business Insider reported that the CIA, the National Academy of Sciences, known as the NAS, NOAA, the National Oceanic Atmospheric Administration, jointly funded a weather research study for $630,000 on controlling weather. It included both solar radiation management, which is chemtrails, and reduction of greenhouse gases. In fact, an entrepreneur by the name of Russ George dumped iron fillings into the Pacific Ocean in order to suck CO2, carbon, from the atmosphere. There isn't any report of the success or failure, however. It sounds like pollution to me. It defeats the entire purpose. And what a waste of your taxpayer dollars if there is a waste. The reason for the CIA involvement was to better understand climate change, so they say, and its implication on national security. Well, speaking of the CIA, the infamous deep stater John Brennan gave a speech at the Council of Foreign Relations in 2016. Now, the Council of Foreign Relations is the precursor to what we now know as the CIA, but they're still in existence as well as the CIA. So what's up with that? But he was still the director of the CIA in 2016 when he gave this speech in front of the Council of Foreign Relations. In the speech, he spoke about controlling the climate by aerosol injections with sulfur dioxide to reduce the temperature of the atmosphere in an effort to reduce global warming. He stated that it was a $10 billion program, very expensive. Brennan, like so many other globalists, spewed the propaganda on our reliance, people, the little servants, the taxpayers, on fossil fuels, as if climate change was our fault, rather than the politicians' fault, rather than the military-industrial complex fault, rather than the deep state's fault. Who are the real culprits in this global nightmare? So all along they have blamed us for global warming and climate change and extreme weather. But it isn't our habits or way of life, because nothing that we do compares to their actions. It is the climate engineers. They sound like a bunch of evil people who infuse highly toxic chemicals into the atmosphere. In the process, they are fooling our Mother Nature, the planet, by disrupting the natural rhythms of the planet and the ecosystem. Just as long as they are artificially modifying the weather, there will be climate change. So I wouldn't stop driving my gas or diesel engine car yet, or turn off my oil furnace or my wood stove either. And you know what? If you live in the Northeast, it's probably too cold anyway. And it seems like it's getting colder and colder each year in our springs and summer weather. I mean, it's totally opposite of what it used to be So their little farce on global warming is actually turning into what we know up here as global cooling. Don't throw away your plastic bags or your plastic straws or any of the plastic utensils either, because the planet will still survive. It has always survived. On the other hand, their plan will only make things worse for not only the environment, but your health and the cost and the expense of it all that is being borne by the taxpayers of this country, whether it's at the state level or at the national level. You can make your voice heard, and you need to do that by contacting Congress, by contacting your state legislature, and urging them to stop spraying, stop this injecting the atmosphere, the chemical trails. And if they don't act, contact even the president and urge them to stop this program. It is your state, it is your country, and if we don't put our foot down now, it will only get worse in the future. Is climate change real? Yes, it is real. But it is nothing you do, but it's what they do. And the worst part, it's being done right before your eyes. And now you know what that's all about. Now, on another note, switching gears here, I did a story on a report on the police surveillance state, how we were being watched by the police, whether we are on a downtown street or whether we were near a police officer or whether they were stalking us. But in addition, I was also speaking about software of the future where it's facial recognition software. They can download your picture and find you on an internet site or find out exactly who you are. In other words, another tracking mechanism. We haven't reached that point yet here in New Hampshire or in other parts of the country. It's still in a pilot stage. It's developed by Amazon, and the FBI is looking into it and other police stations. But what wonderful news I have is that of all places in the United States of America, can you believe this? That in San Francisco, California, with all of its problems, has enacted a surveillance ban. It's an actual ordinance to stop secret surveillance. And it specifically states that you cannot use any facial recognition software in their city to track people or to find out who they are. They banned it entirely. And in addition to that, any other surveillance has to be approved by the Board of Supervisors, which is like the council, city council or town select board. So that's a wonderful thing they've done. Now, with all their problems out there, with sanctuary cities, with the crime, with the drugs, with the dirty streets, with the homelessness, it seems like there's one word. There's always hope for things, especially for constitutional First Amendment rights within our government. And if they can do it there, it certainly can be done anywhere. Because Silicon Valley, California, is the area the whole United States thrives upon, where technology was born. And yet they're attacking it. They're saying, enough is enough, and you can go overboard on this technology. It's good in one way, but yet can be very dangerous and can be so much an invasion of our privacy that we can't go any more a step further, but will cause problems. Now, too bad they don't go get tough on other things like illegal immigration and the sanctuary city issue. It would be nice if they did that. But just for them to come out against the surveillance state and to have this stop secret surveillance ordinance and a ban on facial recognition software is really something to write home about. It really is. So sometimes truth is stranger than fiction, and you never know the world of politics what is going to happen next. But I'm really happy and I'm amazed by that incident. And there are some other things coming up in our little town on the southwestern border. This was the Flag Day week. And on the 13th, which is Thursday, they unfurled the LGBTQ flag. Instead of unfurling the American flag, they unfurled the social flag, the gender equality flag, I guess you would say. And so that really, is upsetting that on this week that they would do that. And not that I'm against, or anybody else probably is not against, people that are attracted to other members of the same sex, or they're bisexual, or they're transsexual, or whatever they do believe in, or whatever they do practice. But the point is it's just an embarrassment. It's something that's just being thrown in our face, to have it be unfurled right on the center of the town, on the gazebo, when it's Flag Day the following day, and it's Flag Day week. I mean, what a disgrace. Where's the Christian flag? Where's the school flag? But most of all, where was the American flag being unfurled? And even, it might have been better for them to do it another time, but on Flag Day week, of all weeks, they have to choose this gender equality flag to unfurl. To me, it's an embarrassment, and it should have never been done at all. But they did it, and they're having some other program, and this I'm going to be watching very closely, because I will be following up with a report on this organization that is called Rural Outreach, which is part of a non-profit group which supports LGBTQ rights, and also, I believe, indoctrinates the children and provides information to families of the children and supports them in their endeavors. And this is totally the wrong way to go, and it's the destruction of our society, and the worst part is we're paying for it and we're putting up for it, and I say no more of this. Well, thank you for listening to this broadcast, and again, follow up with my pictures on these chemtrails at ccltgroup.webs.com, and also check on my YouTube channel under Cynthia Howard for those clips on the military-industrial complex by President Kennedy talking about the secret society, and President Eisenhower, as well as President Trump. It would be a very great thing if you were to watch those. They would be very informative for you. And you can also reach me on various other social media platforms, Facebook, Twitter, and LinkedIn, as well as contacting me on my email, cindycool09@yahoo.com, or calling me at 603-543-1372. And I'm still looking for a sponsor out there. If you know of anyone, please get in touch with me. And I'm also selling my products online at Cindy Collects or Cindy's Collectibles on Facebook. You might find something very interesting or very different or unique out there. And if you do, message me on the Facebook page or call me, and I'm sure I'd appreciate it. Or you can also subscribe to my YouTube channel. Don't forget to click the button on the YouTube channel, and don't forget to subscribe to my website, ccltgroup.webs.com. And also, I appreciate a donation, and that keeps everything going, and maybe we can do further research and further documentaries or further broadcast. I do keep the broadcast up, but I do have other things that I'm doing as well. So it is time consuming to do the research, and it is to make the pictures or to take the videos. But I will be out there doing some more in the near future. But I do appreciate you tuning in. I do appreciate listening, and we'll be doing this very soon. Just remember, only an informed citizen such as yourself can stop tyranny. And when they're infringing on our rights, when they're pushing things down our throat, is when they're infringing on ourselves. And they're causing a tyrannical state. So you must fight to stop it, in whatever way you can do it. Thank you for listening. And I'm going to go out with some more of that song by Tanya Tucker, Lizzie and the Rain Man. Very appropriate to the chemtrails issue.
can't see